So my parents cut me off for supporting Donald Trump. My family disowned me. My cousins don't speak to me. MAGA family, I'm choosing to not invite my parents to my wedding because they didn't invite me to my brother's funeral. So that makes sense, right? I'm not a bad person. It's fair. You don't invite me to my brother's funeral, I'm not inviting you to my wedding.
So I just learned that a segment of the black community that be sending hate on my page just revoked my black card. Take that shit then! I can't tell you how upset I am that they took away my black card. You can keep the toxic behavior that you have running rampant in your communities. You can keep it. Because I didn't claim myself to a race. I claimed myself to a country. I belong to my family. That's all that matters. I mean, to be honest with you, what has the black card given me? It's got insufficient funds. All it has gotten me is stereotyped, intense fears when I'm going to clubs and black events, and a victim mentality. So you can have that, because I'm not a victim. And another thing is, y'all always talking about white people. White people ain't thinking about y'all. White people ain't thinking about me. They somewhere golfing and skiing. Y'all sitting on the corner, dressed in your best, just talking shit. Make that make sense? So yeah, y'all can keep that black card. Because it wasn't yours to give me. And it's not yours to take away.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching me from. There's a video I came across here of a blogger saying that his own family has disowned him. His family has not invited him to his brother's funeral because he voted for Donald Trump. And I was like, what the hell? You ain't invited on a funeral, man. You go on a funeral. You are waiting to be invited on a funeral? How? So because you didn't vote for Kamala, because you are a MAGA, black MAGA, you can't go to your brother's funeral, you are waiting to be invited? Oh hell, I think some that was so funny. But in the whole context is that black MAGAs are being disowned by their own families because families are going through hell. Imagine you are openly a MAGA supporter and a black American or a Latino American, and you vote for Trump, and Trump is there now on the seat, and he is sending your family away from America through immigration policy. We can't keep you. We will disown you. You are being disowned. That's the video we're going to do today, but you want to watch these clips first, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
So I recently saw a video where a Kamala Harris supporter told her parents who voted for Donald Trump that they cannot see her or their grandchildren during this holiday season because the grandparents chose to vote for Donald Trump instead of voting for Kamala Harris. And for those of you out there who may be experiencing the same thing from your family, friends, and loved ones, I understand exactly how you feel. I lost my father when I was 16 years old. So everyone in my family tends to gather either over my mother's house or over somebody else's house in the family. But this year, I honestly do not know if I will be welcome at anyone's table for the holidays. And I'm okay with that because I made up in my mind that I am going to be true to myself. I accept Kamala Harris supporters for who they are and don't require them to change. So I don't want to be around people who require me to change in order for me to enjoy their company. If I am not welcome at anyone's table this year, I will be okay because I would rather be myself than to sell out a piece of who I am to enjoy somebody else's company. I've also had other relatives scream at me at the top of their lungs because I supported Donald Trump. Never once have I brought up the topic of politics with anyone in my family or tried to change anyone's mind. But they are the ones who always bring it up and who are always trying to change my mind. Only imagine how hard it must be for a grandparent not to be able to see their grandchildren during the holiday season. But if you're going through anything like that, just praying that God would bless you and strengthen you. But I'm also praying that God would touch the hearts of these Kamala Harris supporters who are doing this, who are cutting off relationships with lifelong friends, family members, just because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. People think they're winning. But anytime you separate grandchildren from their grandparents, that's a losing battle. Anytime you're willing to tear apart families, that's a losing battle. And that reveals the condition of your heart.
So boom, I get a call from my auntie asking me, am I gonna come to the Thanksgiving dinner? I told her, I don't know. I might stay at home and just chill by myself. Why? She say, if you come, can you not talk about Trump? I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? Why I can't talk about Trump? He said, you the only one that voted for Trump in our family. We all Democrats over here and we supported Kamala. I was like, so? What that got to do with it? She said, we just don't want to get into no argument over here because we know that you're going to start talking about Trump and we don't want to hear it. I said, if y'all talking about Trump and y'all lying, I can't have a rebuttal to it? She said, no, we just want everything to go smooth. I told her, I ain't coming then because I don't want to hear nothing about Kamala if I can't talk about Trump. Ain't you think that's kind of biased? She said, well, if you do come, can you not wear none of Trump apparel? I can't wear my hat. I can't wear my t-shirt. Lady, you must be out your mind. Just don't want me to tell y'all that y'all had an expensive concert, okay? And y'all paid all your money into a campaign that didn't go nowhere. I can't say that. She lied. She lied. Y'all got bamboozled? She said, I guess if you're going to be like that, we don't need you to come. I told her, bye. I guess I'm going to be eating tacos for Thanksgiving because I don't give a damn. If I can't talk about Trump, y'all can't talk about Kamala. Just simple as that. I guess family ain't family no more.
To those of you who have been losing friends, family, and followers over your voting decision this past Tuesday, I want to let you know that first and foremost, you are not alone. There are many of us. As a matter of fact, a majority of us in this country have been experiencing this, where we're either losing relationship, people are wanting to eradicate of us completely or change the dynamic of the relationship, etc. Secondly, and more importantly, I want to let you know that this is a gain in your life. This is a positive. It may not seem that way, especially if you have a mother or a brother, a sister, somebody who has been close to you your entire life, a best friend you knew since kindergarten, making the decision that they don't want to be in a relationship with you. This may be painful. It may be hard to understand and comprehend, but I promise you that this is a blessing in disguise. The people who leave you based upon conditions are conditional lovers, and love cannot be conditional. Therefore, they really never loved you in the first place, because they don't love themselves. What we're dealing with here is a form of narcissism, oftentimes referred to as covert narcissism. These individuals are grown children in adult bodies. They are toddlers in adult form. We're dealing with individuals who have never learned how to deal or to regulate their emotions in a healthy way. These individuals become unhinged when somebody disagrees with them. They see it as a threat. They're living in fight or flight. These are fear-based individuals. These are individuals who've been given over to propaganda, misinformation, and so they can't see clearly. And so again, I want to let you know that though this may be painful, it may be hard, and it may be the last thing that you wanted to happen, you're going to be better off for it. This is your personal journey. This is what it looks like now. And I want you to continue to stand for the truth and in your truth. No longer being the silent majority as we have oftentimes been. We will not be silenced.
Y'all need to get a load of this shit right here. So recently, my boy's family kicked him out of his house just because he voted for Trump. Disowned him, blocked him, all that. And he had to move to Texas. Mind you, I'm all the way up in Michigan. Go ahead, pause and read. You got it? Bet. So he called me, and the reason they gave him was that he didn't respect their rights, so they don't want him in the household. Y'all know Trump is pro-choice, right? Like, he's always been pro-choice. That's one of his biggest things because, well, honestly, he's a billionaire, and he is a celebrity. So a billionaire celebrity, I could say, had a couple abortions in his lifetime. I can guarantee you that. And another thing is, the president cannot overturn a Supreme Court decision at all. Like, they're called Supreme Court for a reason. A president cannot codify Roe v. Wade when it's already at the state level. Like, they can't bring it to federal level. What are y'all talking about? This shows how much hatred can control you, because Donald Trump control y'all. The ones that don't like him, he controls y'all. He can make y'all break up y'all families and relationships just off of existing. That's control. And the crazy part about it is he's only in the office for 4 years. Hell, he's 78. Do you think disowning people, demonizing people, and calling them racist, homophobic, misogynist, woman-hating, all this shit is gonna
make you be on their side, because remember, the presidency is a popularity contest. Y'all literally pushing people to the other side because y'all take politics so serious. And a lot of people don't really take politics that serious, whether you want to believe it or not. Most people didn't vote for Trump, they just didn't like Kamala, if we were being honest. At the end of the day, you control your own fate, you control your own happiness. Bring the power back to yourself.
So my parents cut me off for supporting Donald Trump. My family disowned me. My cousins don't speak to me. I'm alone in this world, but you know, it's cool. I'm still going to fight for what I believe in, and I'm going to fight for what I believe in. The Democrats love to brainwash black people into thinking that they're the best candidates for this country. But I ain't believing that shit. Make America great again. Trump, baby. MAGA family, I'm choosing to not invite my parents to my wedding because they didn't invite me to my brother's funeral. So that makes sense, right? I'm not a bad person. It's fair. You don't invite me to my brother's funeral, I'm not inviting you to my wedding.
Hey fam, happy Resurrection Day to those who are believers, and just happy plain old Sunday to those who are not. I'm just thinking a lot on today about some of the ironies of the situation that we face in America right now. The U.S. is the most religious Western nation. By far. Europe is far more secular than we are. There are more people here who consider themselves religious, and most of those are Christian. We're religious in a way that many Latin American countries are, which are very, very Catholic, and in a way that only really some countries like Ireland in Europe are. But here, there's a high percentage of religiosity, and the vast majority of people who are in the MAGA movement consider themselves Christians. Donald Trump won 80% of evangelical Christians, particularly white evangelical Christians, but also a lot of Latinos who consider themselves to be Christians. And people who are very religious tend to be more likely in the MAGA movement. And when it comes to the Christians in that movement, there's some ironies there, because these are people who purport to worship the Jesus whose resurrection we celebrate on today. And Jesus was someone whose mother and earthly father had to immigrate. They had to immigrate, and they wound up in Bethlehem. He was born without any documentation as to his presence in Bethlehem. He grew up to never seek wealth, to be a carpenter who overturned the money changers' tables, despising what he saw as the exploitation of faithful people by people who sought wealth. He's someone who grew up to be a prophet, someone who, Muslims, Christians both agree was a prophet, who said that it would be easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle than to enter the kingdom of heaven. And whose teachings revolve around the notion that the love of wealth, the worship of money, is the root of all evil. That Jesus, the one who healed the sick without sending them a bill, fed the hungry, without demand for, compensation, cared for the immigrant and the despised, embraced the despised, including women who were cast off as harlots for their independence, unmarried women who spoke out and spoke up, women like Mary Magdalene, who embraced the unembraced, the Jesus whose final commandment to his disciples at Maundy Thursday. Maundy is a term that's used to say, it's an Old English term that means final commandment. And Jesus' final commandment at that Last Supper, at which he also identified his betrayers, his final commandment to his disciples was love one another. The Jesus whose red letters cannot be taught in some MAGA churches because per Christianity Today, the editor of it, their pastors are being told that people don't want to hear his words because they think of them as weak. the weakness of the turn the other cheek Jesus is being rejected by many MAGA Christians. And yet we are being ruled by people who consider themselves Christian nationalists. But what they mean by Christian nationalism is the rule of the strong man rule that really feels more like the old Roman Empire than it does like anything Jesus ever called for. And so we're almost being ruled by a kind of Roman Empire Christianity that says that one can disappear people without trial, no trial. Note that Jesus was condemned without a trial. He was stood on stage by Pontius Pilate, and the crowd was simply told, pick one, Jesus, the liberal, or Barabbas, the strongman criminal, the violent criminal, and they chose Barabbas. That is Roman rule. And we are being now told by Christians, by purported Christians, that it is righteous to deport without trial construction workers and makeup artists and some 19-year-old kid that wasn't even ISIS target, from New York. 75% of the 238 some odd people, and we don't even know how many actually have been deported and sent to this nightmare prison in El Salvador, 75% of them have zero criminal record at all. There's no proof that any of them are criminals because none of them have had any trials. And people who today are worshiping Jesus' resurrection say that is righteous, to deport people without trial to a prison in a foreign country. They have no empathy for those people's families. Pam Bondi has said that Kilmar Abrego Garcia's family is better off without him on this Easter Sunday. It is incredibly ironic to me, as somebody who grew up in the Christian church, that people would embrace the idea of those kinds of detentions, or detentions of people like Mahmoud Khalil for purely ideological reasons, for writing op-eds, for having thoughts that the regime despises. That's my dog groaning in the background. Nale isn't loving it either. The idea that these ideas that feel much more like the Roman Empire than like what Jesus taught, that these ideas are being embraced as righteousness by people who purport to believe also in Jesus, I find deeply ironic as a Christian and deeply problematic. And this Christian nationalism that is based on cruelty and the hatred of immigrants rather than the love of them, and this notion of them being illegal, when the progenitors of many of these same people came to Ellis Island with no documents or came from Europe before that and presented themselves to indigenous people with no documents and purported to be able to stay here because they had strength and guns. Their documents were their firearms. There was no documentation that gave them the right to be here. And yet they have declared that these people have no right to be here and therefore can be abused in any way the regime decrees. That's Roman Empire behavior, not Jesus behavior. Because Jesus embraced the immigrant, the poor, the despised, the sick, the needy. Very hard for me to reconcile these beliefs as being related to one another. And yet here we are, in the midst of a descent into something that's giving 1930s, if it's giving anything, or giving Orbanism, or giving what's happening in El Salvador, or what happened in Brazil, or what's happening in Argentina. You can hear this plane going overhead. So many ironies on this Resurrection Sunday. And my hope for us as a country is that we can reconcile these ironies and that we can restore just the basic sense of justice that says you cannot condemn a man without a trial. The current regime leader, the President of the United States, had a trial, had the opportunity to present his cases in court, multiple cases, and was convicted by a jury within a system of justice. He was not rendered to a foreign prison without trial and condemned. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has not had any trial and had any opportunity to present a case before a court. That is what the rule of law states. If you believe that rendering him to a foreign country, along with 330 some odd other men, is justice, or that what's being done to Mahmoud Khalil is justice and is righteous, I question your belief in righteousness and justice. Happy Resurrection Sunday to all. Let's think this all through before we embrace evil.
Welcome back. Okay, as far as I'm feeling for this guy, but on one way or the other, I don't know if he deserved to be disowned. Yeah, because maybe Trump did something so bad to the family, they decided to disown him. And maybe the families are farmers. Maybe the families who are working in DEI. Maybe they are working on this. It's called the USAID, you know. So you have caused your family the loss of their jobs. You have caused your family to go through hardship of this hard economy in America. You have caused your family to be sent away from America. So, you know, we are meeting as a family. From today, you as Janafeth King, we have disowned you because you voted for Donald Trump. It sounds, yeah, it's okay. I think it's fine. Because being a black MAGA at one point or the other, as far as I see black MAGA saying they ain't regretting their vote, they did something great, they voted for the one they think, but see what's happening. With the things that it's happening right now, I know a lot of MAGA supporters are like, what the hell is going on? We didn't vote for this. Because personally, I think this. Trump had a lot of promises, good promises. And the one thing I know, Trump was open on what he was going to do. So black MAGAs, Latino MAGAs, the people of color, they were like gambling. So if I vote for Trump, if he passes, will he do this? Will he send people, or will he send only criminals? So, but when Trump is in power right now, he's not dealing with the criminals only. He's taking all of you as criminals. Like Donald Trump is widely associated with the rhetoric and policies that may believe have negatively affected black communities. Issues like policing, migration, and civil rights. For some families, supporting Trump feels like siding with someone perceived to uphold, to tolerate systematic racism. Yeah, it makes sense to be disowned. It makes sense. The only place that does not make sense is for you saying you are not invited to your brother's burial, because that does not make sense. But you are voting against your own interests. What does that sound? You are voting against your own interest. Who do you want to appease? I think some of the black MAGAs, they voted because they wanted to appease someone. But some of them, they knew what they are voting for, because I'm standing in the middle here, black MAGA on this side and the other on this side. And black MAGAs are supporting their own. They are saying, we ain't regretting. What MAGA is doing, what Trump is doing is good. Now, here is the thing. Don't come after me when I say this. Here's the thing. Most of black MAGAs who voted for Trump, when I've seen videos circulating, most of them are happy with the things folding. Maybe they voted for Trump because they did not want to vote for him. They just want to punish people. And punishing people, let's do what? Let's put this guy, even if he will punish us all, but there's some people who will be punished so hard. Maybe they voted for Trump because they want to punish the white people. Because maybe Kamala could have been soft to white people and white people could have enjoyed, but they wanted white people to feel this. Maybe they knew what was going to happen. I don't know. That's my thoughts. But it's never a good way gambling with your own life, because this issue is the life of death and life, matter of death and life. When you talk about inequalities, when you talk about racism, when you talk about economic history, when you talk about tariff and everything, it's affecting your children. It's affecting everyone in your family. And that's why your families are disowning you, because they are going through hell. And this hell is created by you. The policing, the immigration policy, the civil rights that are being dragged back. Your ancestors fought so hard to bring this, and you are voting for one guy who is going to turn all this round with your one vote. So we will disown you. And I think these parents needs to be given an accolade, because they did something good. Now, many black families have deep generational ties to the civil rights movement and collectively progress. So supporting Trump may be seen as abandoning or betraying that legacy, especially if it's viewed as supporting white conservative interests at the expenses of black community. That is right. African people have a long tie with the civil rights movement. Some of them are children of the leaders there. Some of them, their parents fought and died because of this. When you are from that family, you are like a black sheep. You are going on your own and going to vote for this. You are breaking that tie. You are betraying the ancestors. You are betraying the family. We shed blood because of you. We fought for these civil rights because of you. And now you are going to vote for Donald Trump. Now he's turning all things around. Everything that your ancestors fought for is being ruined on one day. What are you trying to tell me? You are trying to tell me you are betraying your family. So we do not have any other reason than disowning you. You just go. Go be a MAGA somewhere. It's evident because we can't be fighting for the civil rights movement. We can't be losing blood and one cousin comes and, dismantle everything we have fought for. That's why you are being sent away. Black Americans have historically leaned democratic, particularly since the 1960s. So while that's not monolithic, families often pass down political values. Black Trump supporters may be seen as rejecting those inherited values, causing tension. Understandable. Yeah. Another thing, families might be consuming very different information sources when worldviews clash, especially when one is seen as aligning with the misinformation or anti-black narrative. Relationships can suffer. Trump has been on the front line being seen as an anti-black someone, And for you voting for Trump as a black MAGA was seen as betrayal in the black families. Even Latinos voting for Trump was seen as a betrayer in the community. And a lot of Latinos came out and talked about it, and it's happening. So being a black MAGA, you ain't an optional. We will talk about you. Your parents will deny you. Your friends will see that because you are gambling with the life of your relatives. You are gambling with the life of the black family. You are gambling with the life of your own children, born and unborn children, because when you are voting for bad health society or bad health system, you are voting for infertility. You won't be giving birth. So you are playing with the life of your unborn kids. When you are voting for inequality, you are voting for your brothers and sisters to live off hand to mouth, no work, no job, low wage pages. Why? What's making you happy on that? What are you celebrating for making your relative dying of hunger? What are you celebrating for your relative being sent away from United States? People are being separated from families, and all because of you, black MAGA, all because of your vote. So being disowned by your family, I think it was just a good idea. I don't know what you say on the comment section. That I decided, let me today say my own. Yeah, say your own on the comment section. But all in all, those who voted for Donald Trump, they knew what they voted for. Maybe you are getting what you voted for, because I never judge why one vote for someone, because when this guy comes, gives you the manifesto, gives you his agenda, you choose. If we saying we will take you to Mars, you know very well you want to go to the Mars, then you vote for him. If you don't want to go to the Mars, don't vote for him. If we say we will give you 1,000K every day, if you want that 1,000K, vote for him. If you don't want that 1,000K, don't vote for him. So we all vote because of the agendas that we have been given. But voting is one of a hell of a right that we misuse, because we never vote for the right. We vote because of our feelings. We see this in Africa. Africans are voting because of their feelings and are living on crying 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, because we made a very bad choice. And that's why a lot of people are dying because of elections in Africa. A lot of people are crying after elections in Africa. See what's happening in Kenya. When William Ruto was vying and the counterpart, they voted for Ruto. Despite that, they know he's a bad guy, they know he's corrupt, they know he's a thief, they know he's a killer, they voted for him because the other person was not a good option for them. And not a good option because of why? He's not a thief, he's not this, he have never been there. Because people told them he is a witchcraft, he's a witch doctor, he's some ganga. So we don't want a witch doctor. We want this thief and this killer. Let's vote for him. And they voted barely 2 days after voting, 1 week after voting. Up to now, Kenyans are still crying, and no one is admitting that they voted for William Ruto. That's how it's happening in Africa. We all waste our votes. We all use our votes for the wrong reason. All use our votes for feelings. We all use our votes to pay for the, like this community voted for me, so my community, you must vote for his community or for him next time. So whether you like him or you don't like him, whether he's a thief or he's a gangster, you will just vote for him because you are paying that debt. You are feeling guilty. We never feel guilty in leadership, man. Leadership of leading a country, don't ever feel guilty. Whether you are my friend or my father, I know you are my father and you are a thief. I can't give you that seat, man. Go. Whether you are my mother and you are a witch, I can't recommend you somewhere. I will talk to you to change. If you change, I will recommend you. If you don't change, I don't want you to spoil the future us because you are past. Why do you want to spoil the future of our children? Because we are paying debts. We are voting for our own. We are voting for our tribe. We are voting to punish people. What the hell's going on? We waste these voting rights. And sometimes I think the voting is one of our hell con that we ever have to be. The democracy thing is a hell no. It's just there so that you can tell us you voted. You voted for him. Why are you complaining? Let him rule. I don't know. Tell me what you think on the comment section. Have you seen any MAGA family disowning their, black MAGA? Tell me in the comment section. Until next episode, peace out.